What's going on, everybody? It's another Thursday, which means we are back once again for another episode of the Esports Hub Talk Show. Of course, I'm Paradox, and this is kind of weird because this is the first time I'm at the host of the show. Jack, if you see the logo above us, has had to attend to a personal matter. But nevertheless, show goes on. I have the man next to me with the beautiful black Bulldog jersey on once again. Tony, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, brother. You do this so much better than Jack does.
I try.
I think we've got a new main man now, the new ringleader. Like,
we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I get to see Jack in in a week or so now. So definitely, I might have to talk to him about that. It's like, hey, maybe you should make me host full time. I don't know, but we'll have to see. We have a lot to talk about this week. Of course, we're starting things off with touching just a little bit on the World Gaming. It was the Canadian Call of Duty Championship, pretty much. It was hosted by Cineplex. Of course, it went all the way to the finals. We had a 3-1 win from Set to Destroy X with the roster of Holler, Mayhem, Beezy, and Exotic. And, of course, they went against some talent that we sort of know in the pro scene with Ivy, Gunless, Goonjar, and Royalty. Tony, did you see, anything out of this event or anything?
I'll be honest, right? I didn't see a lot of this. I'm going to hold my hand up to you, right? I knew it was on, right? And it looked all right, and I flicked backwards and forwards. But it's like Insomnia. You may not watch that, you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what it was. If it was all the big teams, I'd have been there watching it. It's the problem with this Call of Duty. Unless I'm sort of attached to someone there or that, it's not always the most enjoyable to watch sometimes at different levels when it's being played. So I confess that I will bow down, as always, to your vast experience, vast superior knowledge.
I mean, that's something that comes up with a lot of people, right? Some people will be like, okay, yeah, if Optic's not playing, or even just if I'm not seeing some of those top 16 teams, it sort of gets them a little bit harder. And honestly, I didn't watch much of it. I tuned in for a couple of matches. I didn't even see the grand final. I had to go back and watch it over because I was like, hold up, wait, Ivy, Gunless, Goonjar, and Royalty got hit with a 3-1 in the grand final? That sort of stuck out to me. It's like, hey, that's kind of a bit odd. But I do want to see where STDX goes from here. It's sort of with the roster changes they've had throughout. This is just their full Canadian team. So maybe work some of these players in, get them onto the organization for sure. But I do know that Royalty is teaming with Exotic, Priest, and Mox. I know he came out in an interview and said that will be his official roster. They don't have any sort of set organization just yet. So, hey, Tony, if you ever want to start Bulldog NA, hey, there you go.
You can run it for me and everything. You can be our contact over there, like.
There's a spot open, right there. Just gotta go and take it. So, of course, we also have to touch on that Cineplex and them just did an amazing job. I believe this was the second year they did a lot of this support for the Canadian scene. I know UMG, of course, Sault Ste. Marie is coming up soon. So we're seeing a lot of stuff going on in Canada. EGLX was also an event last year that I was able to go to. So we're starting to see this build up in the Canadian scene, which I do like. It helps NA as a whole and brings a spotlight to some more of these players and helps them get more practice on LAN. Looking at that, they bought out casters from the CWL, Courage, Maven, and Mr. X, where they're calling in all the matches. And I love hearing those guys, right? They do a fantastic job, and I was really happy to see that they were able to go.
Definitely, they're like the three main men sort of, isn't they? You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to watch them, I like the way Maven's in there as well because he sort of brings a bit of enjoyment for me. Like, I'm not, as you know from our conversations after, I like facts and all that, but I'm not overly analytical. I want to enjoy it, you know what I mean, as well. And he brings that sort of clanny character to it that I like, you know what I mean? It adds a nice sort of balance to it. Yeah, I understand there's an event coming up in Canada. Is it in Canada soon? And they've got some casters that we might know?
Yeah, I think there's an event coming in Canada. I'm trying to remember it. What is it? UMG? UMG that hasn't been around for a long time. Got me and Jack.
Is that where Jack is? Did they not pay his fare and he had to walk?
He's walking across the Atlantic Ocean right now. So just all right, has the backpack on, everything ready, trying to make sure he doesn't get ruined before the event.
So that's it. He's in his one suit as well, isn't he?
Yep. Just like, all right, I have to make sure this lasts me for like a week while I make it all the way over. It's gonna be so cool to see Jack next week. He's like a lot taller than I am too, so that's gonna be a bit odd.
And it will eat a lot of baguettes. Right, be careful. Don't lend him your shaker as well. I've been warned about this.
Okay.
If you've got a shaker, because he uses it and he doesn't clean it out afterwards. Yeah, so keep your stuff to yourself. If he says he ain't got one, don't give him it because he doesn't clean it out afterwards. I've been told this on good authority. So be careful of him.
I have to see. Anytime I actually take my shakers to events, somehow I like leave them in the car before I get on the plane. So I don't know like why that happens. It happened when I went to Dallas, I came back, then I went to like DC. I left my black shaker, which is why I have this new one, and I have both of them here now. But it's just like, why of all things do I end up leaving my shaker in the car? I have no idea why that ends up happening, but I do know, and this is something that I'm really excited about, the Call of Duty World League Global Pro League Stage 1, try saying that backwards 5 times. The groups are finally out for Stage 1, and of course, we get to see all these teams start to play on April 21st, 2017. We just got out of the group draw that MLG did, live group draw. So let's go and look at some of these groups, and I do want to get your opinions on these. Of course, we're talking to Reedy a little bit later on, and I have some interesting notes for him coming out of that one with the group that he was put in. But I do want to start with the group that we're going to see first battle things out, which I feel like is one of the 2 tougher groups here in Stage 1. Talking about the red group with Team Envious, Splice, Cloud9, and Mindfreak.
Woohoo! Poor Mindfreak.
Oh, man.
It's hard, isn't it? I mean, yeah. I mean, Splice would do well. And I'd like Mindfreak to do well. I mean, the reason I'm looking a bit longer than this, not deliberately, but because we've been getting ready and everything, I haven't had as much time to look at this because I've got dogs. So, do I want to do a quick 1, 2, 3? No, not yet because we're not doing that yet, and it will have a show where we do that. So I won't start doing that too much yet. But no, it looks good. I mean, all the groups, if you look at them, not trying to brush over it quickly, there's some strong teams there. I mean, you'd like to think that Envious and Splice would go through. Especially you, as you know what I mean, you are to Envy what I am to Fnatic, you know what I mean? But like, you never know. Mindfreak, I mean, this is going to be, regardless, this is going to be amazing for Mindfreak.
Oh yeah,
like, this whole event, like
I believe that like 100%. The amount of practice and the top practice that they get from just being in the league, it's so good, right? And if you're not familiar with sort of the breakdown and everything of Stage 1, just for everyone coming in and watching, this first group will play, what is this, April 21st through the 23rd. It's a double round robin, so each team, you get 6 matches. You play each team in your group twice. All of them are best of 5. The top 2 make it for the playoffs to fight for $500,000 US. The third place team gets automatic qualification for Anaheim pool play, Stage 2, and Call of Duty Champs. And if you're the fourth place team, well, you're flying out to Anaheim early because you got relegation to look out for. Which that's, oh man, hopefully we don't see some of the stuff we saw last year. There were some heartbreaking moments when it came to relegation, but looking at this group, honestly, I feel like Splice is going to be your clear-cut number 1. That's what I expect out of them, the way they've looked so far. Envy, Cloud9, I'm looking at that second spot. I feel like that's going to be a really good matchup. I expect to see Envy perform a little bit better in the second half of the year, like Stage 2, and when we really gear into champs, I think that's when they normally sort of hit their stride, right? But Mindfreak, I don't know. They might be able to pull some sort of upset out here. Again, too, I have no idea. But this year has been insane for upsets, and if there's one team that can do it, Mindfreak can come out here and shock the world.
I wouldn't want them to fly all this way over to do. I mean, don't get me wrong. They can't live in America for a while, getting paid a lot of money to do it. But I'd like them to get a win or something, and I think they're capable of it. I don't think that they're not a trash team. I really don't.
Oh no,
it's just there's good teams in there. You know what I mean? But I'd like to see them. They're one of the teams that I'd watch, you know what I mean? Apart from the teams that I've got little connections with and stuff like that, teams that actually tune in to watch is them because I want them to do well. They're sort of my underdog team, and I do like an underdog.
Yeah, I always think like Mindfreak don't get enough credit sometimes because people are like, oh, it's the Australians, right?
Yeah.
Ha ha, they're gonna finish last. And no, this team is actually really, really good. And imagine if you had Dins come back to the squad. Dins has been lighting things up this year. Of course, we'll probably see him when it comes to relegation and maybe stage 2 and champs because he is on tainted minds unless we get some sort of roster change. But if you're mind freak, you really don't need it right now, honestly, unless I feel like that's one of the changes that you might want to do if you're seeing yourself hitting that wall, right? It's like, okay, we need something to break through. Maybe that's where you see that come in. But then moving over to the blue group. So make sure people in the chat, you don't get confused. The red group has Envy. The blue group has FaZe.
Yeah.
So that could throw things off just a little bit. But FaZe Clan, Rise Nation, your boys on Fnatic, and the Cinderella story of evil geniuses round out the blue group. I feel like this is the one where I'm like really keyed in. I feel like red is your fight for first place between Envy and Splice. Blue between Rise, Fnatic, and EG. Any of those teams can take that second spot.
No, Fnatic will take it.
I mean, I prefer weight on Fnatic, yeah. But Rise is my question mark in that one.
I know, you know my theory about Rise, they're good at the start and the end. So this isn't the start of the end, so I'm not too worried. And I think Fnatic's going to do good, mate, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, well, you know I do, personally. I say it every week. But I really do think they'll get second. Like, I can see FaZe beating them. FaZe are good, you know what I mean? But, like I said, I'd be more surprised if they lost to any of the others than I would be if they beat them. But again, that might be my personal bias. That doesn't mean it's always right. But I've said for weeks, like I said, Rise historically good at the start and the end. I'm not saying they won't be good. No, they're still good, but they're not as good. When Rise are good, they're really good. You know what I mean? And that's what I mean. It's just a dip for them in the middle normally.
It's sort of the same thing you see with Cloud9, right? You always talk about Aches. It's like, okay, he comes out the gates fast, hot. He's motivated, ready to go. Comes out, gets a top 3 placing, top 2 actually in Vegas, and then kind of goes somewhere, just hides in a little corner, and then Champs comes and he's back.
It's human nature, mate. Like, people are like that in every sport. You know what I mean? It isn't just these are people at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And they've got the same strengths and weaknesses as people have got. And some people just do stuff like that. Footballers do it all the time, or soccer players. And you know what I mean? It is what it is, and it's just it happens too often for it to be a coincidence. You know what I mean? So I strongly think Fnatic will come second in that group.
Yeah, I feel like right now my money is on Fnatic. Rise, I really just don't know what's going on with them. EG is a team just like Mindfreak. I think all of this practice is going to be really good for them, especially since they're coming off of that landmark high of beating Gosu Crew and qualifying for stage 1. That's a team that, although, you know, we've talked about them a little bit, it's like, hey, this isn't the team that's had a bit of a rocky road, to say the least, so far in Infinite Warfare. They qualify for stage 1. Now we really have to see what they can do.
Yeah. I think the teams that have just qualified, right, I think they're the ones, saying that except for Epsilon, because of the signing that they made. Because they've got Joe now, haven't they? I mean, Josh now, sorry.
Josh, yeah.
But I think they're just going to find it harder. There's a reason why they had to qualify late, you know what I mean? It's over, the qualification was over enough of a period of games online and at LAN, that if you just qualified, that's generally, like I said, I think they're the teams that are normally going to be propping up the bottom of it come the end of it. So I hope they don't struggle. I hope it's all amazing. But I think Rise might be too much for them.
We'll have to see. Moving on over to the yellow group, we have United, who almost had the greatest sort of double reverse sweep ever in Call of Duty. Luminosity, who's looked really good in slaying, need to touch up on their search and destroy play. So that's something that, of course, we do have to look out for them. Millennium and then Epsilon round out the yellow group. Looking at this, Millennium is my sort of flip, possibly with Luminosity there, but LG's look so good recently. I don't know. It's possible though.
I think this is a really hard group, right? Like a really hard group, because, like I said, Epsilon won the last 2K over it with their change, and I really rate Dave that they've got Davey. Like, I think he's, for the last 2 CODs, I thought he was a really good player before he was even in anywhere like this. You know what I mean? He was in the amateur scene. I've always thought he's really good, his movement and stuff like that. So I honestly think now they're going to be a bit of a different team. Once they've had a little bit of time to settle, I think there'll be a whole different kettle of fish than what we've seen for the start of them. Mm-hmm. Maybe they need that little bit of an older head in the team because they're relatively young and all that. And I think it'd be good for him. Pretty much like Tommy is at Fnatic, you know what I mean? A bit of a leader and that's someone that's been there and done it. And obviously Millennium, the old Infused roster, are a strong team, you know what I mean? So, and Luminosity, like you said, they're doing well. I honestly think that is a really hard group. Yeah. With, like I said, it hasn't got not being horrible, the Mind Freak or that in there. I honestly think the change Epsilon has done could see him do well. And like I said, that's a group that I really, really think is Now's mate.
This is like one of the groups where you think for Red, you look at the first place matchup, B or Blue, you're looking at sort of who comes out in second. This one, I feel like it's the third and fourth seeds have a sort of wall on that top two that they really need to show up and be able to push through. I feel like E United's your clear-cut number one, but that second spot, LG Millennium can easily flip, and if Epsilon's clicking, oh my God, they'll be able to move into there for sure.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, Epsilon may not get second, but like I said, looking at the placements, I'd find it harder to put those. I almost see it as, when I'm looking at it, I see it as the bottom, like you said, the bottom three seeds in that are the ones that are interchangeable. Maybe I don't see Luminosity coming bottom, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that, but they're interchangeable otherwise, pretty much a lot of the positions. And it should be good. It really should be good.
Yeah. So now, of course, I know Twitter just like exploded when the draw was going because they were like, of course, Optic gets put in the green group, right? And they'll be the last group to go. That one's going to happen, May 12th through the 14th. So right after my 22nd birthday, actually, funny enough, we have Optic Gaming, Red Reserve, Enigma 6, and Elevate. And of course, that's one's going to be the last one. We have Reedy coming on to maybe get some questions on towards him about that and put some in the chat if you're keen. But I feel, once again, Optic's your clear-cut number one in this group.
100%. Do you like the way that FaZe don't get their colour, Envy don't get their colour, but Optic have to get their colour?
Of course.
I'm not saying that anything's rigged there at all because it's unlike me to even accuse anyone of anything like that. But I think that's a bit too much of a coincidence that you... Like he's had a phone call and he's been like, "Look, you want to give us green?"
Of course, we got to get the green group.
That one should be good. Mm-hmm. Reedy's on later, so I'm going to let him talk about Elevate. Yeah. Because I've spoke to him about the team, but anything he says, I want it to be him, like his opinion on it. I'm not going to speak for him. Optic and Red Reserve, though, two good sides. E6 as well. I mean, that's another tasty group. If Elevate click, everyone knows they can be good. You know what I mean? Their S&D is always going to be good. They've got Reedy there. So Optic, obviously, though, clear cut, haven't they? They've hit a bit of form. You know what I mean? Apart from like United, there's no one I really think can sort of touch them at the minute for their team play. So I can't see them. To be honest, I think they'll win every game. Red Reserve possibly second, just because they're EU. Possibly. I'd like Elevate to come second because Reedy's on, and Reedy's my pal, and he's part of the reason he's on. He's my pal, but I don't think they will. But like I said, we can speak to that one. I'd rather leave that group personally myself a little bit till Reedy's on, so it's something we can talk to him about. Because otherwise, we'll say stuff and just look wrong because he'll know the right answers.
So looking at this, I feel like you get Optic. Once again, I think that's just your clear-cut number one. The other three, I want to see what we get from Elevate and what Red Reserve are bringing to the table, because you think Red Reserve have a little bit of a good showing in the losers bracket in Dallas. Elevate didn't have the best of showings, unfortunately, but I feel like that can be some of the things with the roster swap and then possibly sort of trying to get back on the road. E6 is another sort of toss-up in that one as well. I really do want to see what they bring to the table, but good thing though, they've got put in a group with Optic. This is a team that plays up to their competition. I know Pina in the chat saying E6 is going to come out second in that group. I'm really excited to see what they are able to do, but I know this, I can make a road trip down to Columbus. I'm happy. I'm like, 3.5 hours away. I can go see all these matches. That makes me really excited.
You need to tell them that you can cast it, innit? You won't even charge for travel. By the way, I'm going to be there anyway. If anyone's start kidnapping the casters, maybe that's what's happened with Jack.
Maybe. They just snatched him up. It's like, all right, Jack, you're just going to stay here for now. It's like, okay. Yeah. Like, no, you can't talk to anyone or anything. You're just ours for now. Maybe. We'll have to see. And I know that they're doing a rotating, like, I believe it's 2 rotating spots on the analyst desk. And I'm pretty sure we'll get to see the one and only Swanee return on that analyst desk sometime throughout stage 1. And if that ends up being 100% confirmed, I know they were talking to him about it. If he is able to come over, I will be so happy.
Are you a bit of a Swanee fan?
Yeah, I mean, I worked with Swanee on the analyst desk at X Games, and there's so much knowledge and stuff there, and he's such a really good guy as well. So that's going to be really cool to see. And I know we're still waiting on spectator announcements as far as, I believe, price and all the other stuff that comes with all of that. So as soon as all that information is out, of course, we will try and get that to you as soon as possible. But now we have a bit of a juicy topic coming up after this. Throw your questions in the chat. There have been some really interesting leaks in the Call of Duty scene recently. We might be moving back over to boots on the ground, some World War II. And of course, we have Reedy coming on the show for about 30 minutes or so. So we're really able to take a deep dive with him. Throw all those press questions and predictions in the chat, and we'll see you on the other side of this short intermission.
possible.
Suck the life right out of my veins when you spoke my name. Got the kind of thing going that tips the scales. Yeah, you keep me sane. I'll be the clouds beyond your skies. We'll flutter by like butterflies. I'll be the blue inside your eyes. Your crazy loving keeps me paralyzed.
Welcome back, everyone. Now it's time for the second half of the show. And of course, we do have our wonderful guest, Reedy. Thank you for joining us, man. I'm really happy you're here.
Thank you for having me on, man. It's been a while since I was on the Esports Hub talk show, so it's good to be back.
So, of course, before we went to a break, we were talking about the whole group draw and everything for CWL Stage 1 of the Global Pro League. Could you give us your thoughts on your group? And, of course, if you missed it, people missed it in the chat, you're there with Optic, Red Reserve, and Enigma 6.
Personally, I feel like this is the best group we could have got. I mean, Optic, I played them twice at Atlanta and Vegas, and both times we should have won, I mean, it's all in hindsight, but we gave them good games. Red are a fairly new team, especially if they got Sean, our old player. Be really excited to go up against them. And E6, I know Cade, me and Cade are good friends. So I'm very excited to be playing him, I guess. But E6 and all three teams are beatable. I mean, everyone's expecting Optic to come out the group. It's kind of obvious. But if we play how we've been playing online recently and transition that into a LAN gameplay and a tournament gameplay, we should be fine. I mean, after Dallas, we had to get back and straight up grind the game. Dallas was so unacceptable on so many levels, towards Elevate, towards people that support us. We're a new team, we should have done much better. But if we keep on doing what we've been doing online, I guess it should be a good group and good games all round.
I know David's in the chat wanted to know, what have you guys been focusing on in your scrim since Dallas, and where do you see sort of the room for improvement going into the Global Pro League?
So basically what we've been focused on is telling Watson to slow down. I mean, I love the guy, he's one of my favorite teammates, but he plays way too much pubs, and he treats some kills in actual gameplays like pubs. The guy's Master Prestige 12. I don't know if there's a pro who's actually that far ahead in pubs like that, but he treats some kills like pubs, and we've just been optimized, our coach, Reese, and Zach have all just been telling him to slow down, and he's been doing that. He's been getting more kills, and it's been more productive scrims and stuff like that. We're playing much better right now. Communication's a massive thing with us. Zach isn't really a big speaker, so isn't Watson like panic call out sometimes, and just been working on that kind of stuff. Like Reese is so experienced, like coming second at champs. Like he knows what it takes to win. I know what it takes to win within Europe. Internationally, Reese brings more to the table than I would, but we're just trying to mesh and find that right balance going into the league and Anaheim and CWL Birmingham.
It's nice. It sounds really good, and I can't wait to see like how you guys sort of shape and form and improve over the next few months. I mean, really into the lead up all the way through the rest of the year. I feel like you guys are going to be a team that we really have to look out for. Other than outside of like your group, are there any other groups you're really looking at?
The Fanatics group's going to be interesting. They got 3 NA teams, and they're a really talented bunch of players. I mean, Wiskins has come so good. At first I guarantee everyone was questioning it. I questioned it myself when he picked him up. But give him a few lands, he's improved he's improved a lot. He's improved a lot. So I'll see fairly good to see how they'll play. Like Sonny B and Scraps, a team with them last year, both good players, and Tommy is the game changer, I guess. Like he molded them into the team he wanted under Fnatic. It's going to be good to see how they place.
So, of course, everyone, if you're just joining us or if you only joined us halfway through, look out for Reedy and all the players on Elevate as they go into Stage 1 of the Call of Duty World League Global Pro League. Your group plays May 12th through the 14th, and all the action begins on April 21st, and it's going to be on land in Columbus, Ohio at the MLG Arena. Cannot wait to see what comes out of that. So now that we're done talking about the future, it's time to hop in the time machine, go to the past a little bit, because there's been some speculation and some rumors in the community that the upcoming Call of Duty title for later this year will be set in World War II. Now, Tony, how do you feel about this?
Right. I'm happy, to be honest. Right. I am not the greatest COD player in the world. I never have been. But the last time I could actually shoot back was Ghost. So I'm happy to be able to play COD again. And like, I'm too old now. All that flying around and that, my reactions are just gone. You know what I mean? So from a personal point of view, I think it would be good. From a spectator point of view, I like it more. I've told you before that I think games like that, it's a little bit slow and it helps to build up the suspense a little bit more. So it makes it more of a spectacle with the kills in that all the time now. I mean, obviously they mean a lot, but I just think it builds it up a little bit more. And also on a personal note, finally my captain will be relevant again.
Of course, you got to throw him in there, right? Reedy, so what do you think about like a possible return to boots on the ground?
I'm very excited for it. I've not enjoyed COD these past 3 years. The COD I enjoyed the most, like with the new movement and stuff, is probably AW, simply because you can either be up in the air, you're right, you're left, middle, or like slamming down. There's no thrusting. There's no like 800 possibilities. Oh, he could be on this wall run. So it brings a lot more to the game. Like where it comes to, it's not just flying up in the air and getting a random kill. It's actually thinking about what you're going to be doing next. Like if you make this kill, how does that affect your team? What can you get away, or is someone going to be there to trade? There's so much more into it. Not a lot of players like that play now will understand the concept of boots on the ground COD. It's so different. And last time I was probably relevant was on Ghost. Like, I mean, it's just so much better. I mean, it might be a bit slower for fans to like enjoy. Like, everyone loves the hardpoint now. Like, it's so fast paced. I mean, it can get a bit hectic at times, but it is good to watch. But on the ground, it's just going to be so much better. I mean, I want to try sort of visa out and get over to the States because, I mean, more money over there, more people will be watching, more fans. The competition's better, and that's my plan anyway for next year.
I feel like that's something that actually, I don't know if I've mentioned it on the show, but I know I've mentioned it before, just like talking to people. That's something I really do want to see, sort of a lot of players starting to move back and forth between the regions. I don't know like how soon that's going to be a thing that happens. I actually do hope that it happens soon, because it would just be really good to see, in my opinion, just for the development and the growth of the scene. But we will have to wait and see. Just throwing this up to both of you, we know that IGN and Eurogamer have pretty much confirmed with their sources about this league, so it looks pretty safe. How do you guys think this is going to affect the meta? Do you think it's going to be like more World at War, or are we leaning towards like Black Ops 2?
I
Any
think
do you
by
want to go
the
first?
I think by the looks of it, it looks pretty World at War-ish.
Mhm.
To be honest, I don't know how the gameplay is going to go. I mean, it could.
Yeah.
Do you know what? They could still find a way of sneaking it in. You know what I mean? It could be a little like you get to inject yourself with adrenaline and rush forward. Oh my god, I shouldn't have said that. They'll include that in it. You know what I mean? Like, but they could just all bets are off. Like they seem to be upset. The only thing I'm thinking is because of their cycles. This is the game that would have been around when everyone initially kicked off, wasn't it? So
Yeah.
this is, you know what I mean? This is actually their reaction to the community's hatred of the movement, basically. So I'm hoping that they listened at that time and since that time, and they've not got any little payloads or anything like that. You know what I mean? That you get a suit of armor comes dropping down from the sky or something mental like that in it. And it can be how people enjoy it. If you speak to the people that used to play the boots on the ground, like a lot of them will say how much more it takes for you to be a smart player, and there's a bigger skill gap. You know what I mean? Because you have to understand the game. You have to be a smart player. It's not as forgiving. And I just like the thought of that, you know what I mean? So I'm hoping that it's a bit like that. Now on to the man that knows.
I'm kind of worried. I'm not gonna lie because last World at War game we had we tried to go competitive on it and it just didn't work out. We went back to COD 4. More times so it just depends on the maps. Like people doing map design, they need to be lanes. Capture the flag has to come back in my eyes. Guns as well. Like because if they're gonna be single tap guns, like people with it's gonna be so hard for like certain players to be better than other players because say you got an M1 carbine, if someone like David Marsh, Urban for Red, his trigger finger is out of this world, and he's just going to be better than everyone else with these single shotguns. So I feel like they need to find the balance within single shotguns and stuff like that. But if they find the right balance, it could be good. Snaking as well, like on World at War, it was awful, man. Like, and even on this game, like
I was gonna say it's back,
so
isn't it?
bad. Yeah, it's been back for like last 4 years, but no one's really abused it. But people are starting to abuse it now. It literally depends if they find the right balances and fix the in-game mechanics with like Snake and stuff. Like if it's going to be a proper competitive title, which I hope they will do because COD World League is growing and COD's only getting bigger, and they need to take into account that we're going to be here to stay. And I hope Activision and whoever's I don't even know who's doing the game take that into account. Sledgehammer, they take it all into account because we need this as a players as well. It's all our jobs, and I'm praying it's going to be good, and I can't wait for it to go back on the ground. It's like it's been a long 3 years for myself. I mean, I've not been awful, but I can't wait to get back on the ground.
It's the enjoyment of playing it as well, though, mate. And
yeah,
it's
the enjoyment.
you enjoy playing.
Yeah, like the enjoyment will come back 100%. Like I don't enjoy playing these games. I enjoy it when I'm playing with my team and stuff, and I love the competing aspect of it. But like on the casual play, I would never turn on COD and play pubs. Like that's not me. But with previous games, even Ghost, I played pubs a bit. MW2, COD 4, and I've smashed it. Like, but yeah, I just hope they find the right balance and stuff like that.
I'm actually really excited to see what they're able to do with this setting because just on like a personal level, one of the first shooters I played, I really got into Medal of Honor when I was a kid. So I'm like 5 years old trying to play Medal of Honor and everything when it was still set in World War II. So going back to that setting actually is really interesting for me. And I wonder if they're going to open up the Pacific Theater at all. So maybe we see some maps and some battles that we actually haven't seen before. Of course, that stuff comes in the campaign, but it does have an effect on some of the maps and everything that we do see in multiplayer. And I feel like you touched on a really good point there, Reedy. With the map design, it's going to be really interesting to see how they're able to work these things out. And with CTF most likely making a return, I'm actually really excited. I've missed CTF this year, honestly. I love CTF.
It's a great game mode on Black Ops 3. I mean, bar Strongholds and I can't remember the other Evac. Yeah, bar them two maps. I mean, the map design was pretty poor because of wall running. Like, just get wall running out, man. I don't want that. I just want boots on the ground, man. Just give me boots on the ground, straight lanes, couple head glitches. Like, make it teamwork orientated, not solo played, and where you can just go 70 foot in the sky, get behind people, pull the flag, heatwave someone. It's not really fun to watch or play, to be honest with you.
So I know there have been some questions coming in for you. I do want to start with one. So how is the pro esports sort of athlete life or the pro esport player life compared to what you might have expected before becoming one?
I mean, it's great. We get to travel a lot. I love traveling. I love going to different places around the world. meeting new people. I'm not a shy person, but I'm not a shy person, so I'll get chatting to anyone. The only downfall is it's so draining. Like every other week you're in a different place. But then again, it's what we signed up for, and the playing hours. I mean, tonight we've been playing from 6 till at least 11. It does take its toll on you, but then again, you just need to treat it like a 9 to 5 and get on with it, play, and just try and improve as much you can. I like it though. I'd rather be doing this than anything else. Like I think anyone would.
Mm-hmm. So even looking at that, I'm actually kind of curious. Do you guys go in your scrims and everything, record your own points of view, and then go back and look at them later since IW doesn't have an in-game theater mode?
We've been doing that recently after Dallas.
Okay.
Optimized, our coach, told us to start doing it and then going over gameplay. We've not actually gone over the gameplay yet. We're going to probably start doing that a bit closer to the time where, or well, probably within the next 2 weeks actually, of where we can just help each other. Like, Zach, you shouldn't be flying at this guy. You sit down, chill. Or Josh, you shouldn't be jumping off this head glitch. Or me, I shouldn't be pinching at a certain time. Like, we will be doing that in a couple weeks, but we've been recording gameplays. Well, I have anyway. I'm pretty sure Zach's put his Elgato in and he's been recording as well. But it does help a lot, especially with our coach. Or I don't know.
Love that, Joel.
Yeah.
I know their coach,
Yeah,
and he
Joe
loves
just-
stuff like that.
yeah. He's helped us a lot, considering like at the start of the game we was pretty unknown. We went to Vegas, got top 12, went to G-Finity, got top 3. Like, and then Sean leaving, it's just been a bit hard, but we're gonna get through it. Like, there's no doubt we won't. Reese is a great player and stuff like that. We just need to start clicking again.
Mm-hmm. I know another question that came in. So what was just your entire journey to becoming a pro? And it also says, how did you become one? And did anyone help you like along the way?
I got no help. So I've been playing COD since I was like 13. COD 4 GBs. I used to play hardcore GBs until MW3, and I was like, I heard of an event called EGL5. It was in Blackpool, and I just went. Like, I just booked my ticket. I didn't even have a team. I was like, I want to go to one of these gaming events. I play games a lot. I want to see what the crack is. I went, and we got top 64, and it was the most highest attended event in Europe. It was 112 teams. Apex won, which was Optic after a while, and then I didn't go to an event for a year. Went to Black Ops 2, just kept on going to events, and then on Ghost is where I made my come through, qualified for the online part of the COD Champs qualification. We didn't qualify for COD Champs, and then I managed to get on a team with Pato, who's his son, I guess. We placed top 12 at an event, and then I made a team with Rated, Endura, and Robs, and we just went from there and just stormed it. Like, we was like the first AM team to be in a grand final at an event in Europe, and then ever since then I've just never looked back and just started rolling, getting better placements, and then finally getting your salary and all that good stuff. Then traveling a lot. But I had no help. I had to do this all by myself. I mean, you could say Pato giving me a chance with his team, but I went to that event and I played awful anyway, so it didn't even matter.
Basically, the grind pays off at the end of the day.
Grind does pay off. Look at Marky B.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, look at
Pato. So another question that came in was, outside of the map structure in World at War, what do you think? Were there any other sort of reasons that game just sort of didn't work in the competitive scene?
The game modes, snaking, the guns, and the maps, like you said. I feel like I wasn't really around like testing it, like Optimized or Op2. Joel, he said it was just awful for competitive. Like, it just wasn't a competitive game. So if he's saying that, I'm gonna take his word for it. But it's the game, like, even on GBs and stuff, it was kind of frustrating to play, like, because I used to play hardcore, like I said. But yeah, it was just wasn't the best thing to be playing, I guess. And COD 4 was just so good.
Yeah,
that was the thing. Like, why would you want to leave such a good game? I mean, like, I wish we could have done that with Black Ops 2, had it for a 2-year cycle, or even AW, because the games after AW was a bit. Black Ops 3 was good though.
So I do know Johnny, Mr. eye in the sky of the Esports Hub has his own personal question for you. He's apparently throwing some ideas in the chat, and if Activision is looking out, then I don't know if we're going to see this or not, but he just wants to know, what's your opinion on leaning or proning if the game is confirmed? Do you want to see that? Because we had leaning in Ghost, right? But was it turned off in comp?
Yeah, it was turned off in comp play.
Yeah.
I mean, I can play with leaning if you're with a keyboard and mouse because it makes more sense to me. But with a controller, you haven't got a button to straight up lean. You have to walk towards a wall and then aim in, and it's not really good. Like, who wants to do that? So if we had a keyboard and mouse, I would be all for leaning. Like, look at COD 4 Pro Mod, such a good such a good game to watch, so competitive. I liked it on COD 4 Pro Mod because it added a different aspect to the game. But I don't think it's built for console esports. I don't think leaning should be in it. Proning, I don't know what you mean by proning, but like I feel like proning has to be necessary.
He said something like prone and roll, like you're able to lay down and then just like roll around.
I mean, again, no, definitely not. No, I don't. I feel like that isn't good for COD esports or console anyway. I mean, I play H1Z1. Have you seen a guy in front of you? They just drop it and they start rolling around. I'm just like, okay, go away, please. I don't want to deal with this.
It's Johnny. He has ideas like this. He doesn't play very much. He's never been very good.
Yeah.
He just doesn't get it, mate. You know what I mean? He doesn't even come on this for that reason.
It's Johnny. We're just like, all right. Like,
Joel's in the chat. Joel's putting questions in the chat for you. Ooh, how good would Zed be on a scale of 1 to Batesy or something on boots on the ground?
That guy's lost, man. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Honestly, he's gonna have to move in with me. Lisa's probably gonna have to move in with me. I'm just gonna have to sit behind him and watch him play every day. But God, no, it'll be good. He's got good reactions and stuff. Like, reactions gonna come into play, but it's just the smarts of being on the ground, like knowing what you can do. Like I said previously, if you can get away with it, but that should be good if he plays.
The thing is, you could have Joel literally ruining him. I remember when we was playing the last one and because he was playing with Pato for a little bit, innit? And we was there around Granny's and he's literally like, if you step past this, they will spawn there. Like, he's taking everyone for it, literally one step past the thing, and he's like, this will happen. Honest, their coach is unreal for like looking at stuff like that.
Joel will play next year and he'll probably be better than most of the people that are going to be playing. Like, he was one of the best on MW2. So it's good to have him on board and stuff, but yeah, I'll miss him.
So Zed's going to be coaching.
Probably. I'll miss him if he does stop coaching. I'm not going to lie.
He's a good lad.
I know there's another question that came in, and Tony, you can probably answer this one a little bit more. Just wondering, how do organizations earn enough money to be able to give their players a salary?
Sponsors, mate, a lot of it and stuff like that. It's hard because if you win an event, the players obviously get a big share of the win as well, so you don't really get it from that. A lot of it comes from sponsors and stuff like that, mate. That helps you to be able to do this. Or some people just got money, you know what I mean? Or YouTube and that. Some people make money from their YouTube channels and can reinvest it. It's generally not from the winnings, though, to be honest. I mean, you could get some, but not enough to be able to wage some of the people nowadays, you know what I mean? They were only good money, some of them.
I know, Webster, if you do want to hear a little bit more about that, Tony actually does have a video up talking about sponsorships in esports. So you can go check that out, and you can get a little bit more of an elongated sort of look into that and everything, if that is something that you really do want to look into. And I hope that video does help you out. Tony does a really great job with those. So I do know we see a would you rather coming in for Reedy. It's like, would you rather win MLG Dallas or come third at Champs?
I'd rather win MLG Dallas every single day of the week. People don't remember second place or third place finishes. Look at Splice. I mean, it's barely brought up now that they came second at Champs. Envy still have that hype wave of winning Champs. JK, like, it is what it is. I'd rather win an event. I mean, especially for EU as well, winning an international event will be massive. And it is my goal to be winning an international event. Simple as that, because there's no point. I've won, I think, 5 events in Europe. Don't count any of them. They don't really count at all. It's all about getting that dub on an international stage and telling people that we're here to play. Simple as that, really.
I would be so happy. You don't understand that. I'd probably get all emotional. I'd be sitting like,
it'd be a landmark event.
Mate, honest, I'd have my laptop. I can picture myself now. The wife would be a kid next to me. I'd have my laptop like I normally do when it's going on late over there. And I'd be proper bouncing around, getting excited anyway. And especially if it was like Reedy or the brothers, you know what I mean? Because I get on well with them. Oh, mate, like, I'd end up I'd do the show myself next week, and I'd just be crying and everything.
I do see another one, and this one goes up, whichever one you want to answer this one first. A lot of people have really been talking about that they want to see coaches in map vetoes really return. And I assume when he's talking about coaches, like the on-stage coaches, not just having someone behind the scenes helping the team out. Where do you guys stand on that?
I mean, I think it needs to come into play. You look at every big esport in the world, they have coaches. I mean, right, League of Legends let the coaches come in for ban and protect, and then they leave. CS:GO, you have coaches in game. Gears of War, you have coaches in game. Halo, you have coaches in game. I mean, it needs to be implemented. In my opinion, anyway. I mean, it will be so. I mean, they stopped it because I feel like they stopped it because of Mr. X. Like, he was just helping that complexity team so much, and other people were crying about it. Like, no, just go find yourself someone that can do the same as him. It's not like that hard. I mean, it needs to be in, because I know for a fact my team would improve massively, and it might be a bit biased, but it's something that needs to happen because it helps the fans as well. Like, oh, who's that guy? It's a coach. They're like, oh, right, so he's like a manager for like a soccer team or a football team, and he's helping them do the tactics and stuff like in game and calming people down. It'll just so much better. I don't see why it's not already been
I
in
100%
place.
agree. You've got to remember, some of these are young kids, right? You don't necessarily naturally have an in-game leader in the team. So they can come in and be that, you know what I mean? And like you said, they can help them calm down. It's only good. I don't understand. Don't get me wrong, you get good coaches and bad coaches. You get some coaches that just want to stand there and shout crap at the other team, you know what I mean? But the good coaches actually bring something to the game, you know what I mean? And anything that brings to the game and makes the game better, surely can only be better for Call of Duty, you know what I mean? And definitely, like 100%, I'd love if, like, we need a coach sometimes when you ain't got an in-game leader and stuff like that. You need your coach there to be making calls and plays sometimes, and just even to act like the ref between the people, you know what I mean, when they're practicing and stuff like that, and to make them do the stuff they don't want to do. A lot of people don't get where they could get, not because they don't understand what they've got to do, it's because they don't want to do it. You know what I mean? The application and that knowledge. And if you've got a good coach there saying, no, you will do this, and you're still making the same mistake, stop making that mistake, then that's only going to help develop the players and bring them on. Like,
all right, I sort of like even on a personal level, I actually really do want to see coaches return. I would love to just coach a team, even if it's just for one event, stand on the stage behind them. That would be like one. It would be if I'm actually end up being a good coach, it would help the team. I don't know about that, but then just like that atmosphere and everything would actually be really cool. And before we end the show, just want to get a quick hit on map vetoes. Where you guys stand on that one?
I like them. I mean,
yeah.
So many times I've gone into an event and we're like, we're awesome map, lads, and then I've seen breakout hardpoint. I'm just like, yeah, I'm just gonna go home now. Like, what's the point in playing? We're already 1-0 down. But they need to be in again. Like, it adds more consistency to teams. It doesn't make it so random. Like, you could just pull your 5 worst. Well, not 5, because if you have 5 bad maps, then you need to work on something. But you could easily pull 2 really fucking bad maps. Sorry for swearing again. Really bad maps, and what can you do about it? Like, veto stops that from happening, and then it's more of a mind game between each teams. Like, is this their strong suit? Is this like not so good for them? I feel like it needs to be in. Personally.
The developers also don't always make good maps, so this is a good way of protecting against it. Some team, you know what I mean? Some maps just ain't enjoyable to play or good to watch, but they for some reason make their way into the rotation. You know what I mean? And to be had, I think it's a good thing.
And it also helps with like some storylines too, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. We had map vetoes last year at G4 on Black Ops 3, and it was such a good event. Like, probably one of the best events I played at. I mean, we didn't do so well, but it was a good event to watch. The maps might have been like recycled a lot, but still, even then, the right winners came out on top. Like, it just adds randomness. Like, I mean, no disrespect to United, but I don't feel like they would win Atlanta if map vetoes were in. Like, I feel like Optic pulled quite a fair few bad maps, and then again, it works both ways. It's I don't like the random map pool gen malarkey.
I would actually like to see map vetoes, even if it's just for like one event for a return, just to see how it ends up working out. It's something that I really do want to see, because then we get into, oh, this team's been performing well on this map and it's sort of their strong side. I mean, we even still sort of get into that, but if you're able to let that happen, it's like, okay, this team left this map in, right? They're going to go in and take that challenge. There's something that we always see in Counter-Strike, sort of playing that one up a little bit more. Yeah. So that would actually be really cool to see. Unfortunately, we need to let Reedy get back to his scrims and everything. So thank you for joining us here today. Of course, Jack wasn't here. Something happened with him. He'll be here next week, of course. But thanks, Tony. Always beautiful black Bulldog jersey. And then Reedy, thank you so much once again for coming on the show. Absolutely great having you on. And thanks for answering all the questions, everything the chat had for you.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, so we will see you. It's always a pleasure, like, for real. So we will see you next week, same time, same place. Make sure you come back.